What if you woke up tomorrow with nothing but a shovel, a dream, and dirt under your fingernails? I mean, absolutely nothing else. No savings account, no safety net, no one texting you, "You got this, babe." Just you, the wild open land, and a gut feeling so stubborn it refused to quit. That's exactly where our story begins. Picture this: a young man, let's call him Sam, sitting on the cracked wooden steps of a tiny, leaning shack somewhere in the mountains of California, 1849. His boots have holes in them. His stomach hasn't met a real meal in 2 days, and his pockets? Empty. Not a little tight this month empty. We're talking tumbleweeds rolling through empty. His father had passed, his hometown had nothing left to offer, and the only thing Sam owned that had any value at all was a hand-drawn map, a worn-out shovel, and an absolute, unreasonable, almost laughable belief that gold was waiting for him somewhere in those hills. Now here's the question I want you to sit with for a second. Have you ever believed in something so hard that people around you thought you were crazy? Have you ever held on to a dream so tight your knuckles turned white? Because if you have, then Sam is you. And this story is yours too. Sam had heard the stories. Everyone had. Gold, they said. Fortunes overnight, they said. But what they didn't tell you, what the posters and the pamphlets conveniently left out, was the part where hundreds of men just like Sam showed up to those mountains and found nothing. Just rock, cold water, and broken spirits. Most of them quit after the first week, some after the first day. A few never even made it to the riverbank before they turned back around and went home. But Sam kept digging. The great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And if Sam had read that quote, he would have laughed, nodded, and kept shoveling. Because every single obstacle that hit him, and trust me, they hit hard, somehow became the exact thing that pushed him forward. Week 1, his shovel broke. Not bent, broke, snapped right in half like a bad joke. Most people would have packed up. Sam walked 6 miles to the nearest settlement, traded his only decent jacket for a used shovel, and walked 6 miles back, cold the whole way, singing to himself the whole time, too, because why not? Week 2, he found color, just a whisper of gold in the pan, barely a flicker, not enough to celebrate, not even enough to eat, but enough. Enough to know he was in the right place, enough to keep him there. You know that feeling when the universe gives you just the tiniest wink, like it's saying, "Not yet, but don't you dare leave"? That was Sam's wink. Week 3 brought rain. Not regular rain. I'm talking biblical, apocalyptic, maybe I should build a boat kind of rain. The riverbanks flooded. Other prospectors packed up and left. Sam built a makeshift shelter from pine branches, crawled inside, and waited. While he waited, he thought. He studied the land differently. He watched how the water moved. He noticed something no one else had, a natural curve in the mountain, a place where the current slowed just enough to let heavy things settle. Heavy things, like gold. Walt Disney, yes, that Walt Disney, the man who was once fired from a newspaper job because, and I quote, he lacked imagination, once said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." Sam had never heard of Walt Disney. Walt Disney hadn't been born yet. But Sam was living that quote every single stubborn day. When the rain cleared, Sam went to that bend in the river. He knelt down in the mud. He was so tired his hands were shaking. He lowered his pan into the cold water, swirled it slowly, and watched the mud wash away. And there it was. Not a flicker, not a whisper, a nugget the size of his thumb, glinting in the early morning light like it had been waiting for him specifically, like the mountain had kept it there, tucked away just for the guy crazy enough to stay through the storm. Sam sat there for a full minute without moving. Then he looked up at the sky, that big, ridiculous, beautiful California sky, and he laughed. Not a polite laugh, a full-bodied, tears-streaming, what is happening laugh, because sometimes that's all you can do when a dream starts becoming real. But here's where the story gets really interesting, because finding that first nugget, that was just chapter 1 of about 50 chapters that were about to unfold. Sam went back to the settlement and quietly, very quietly, because in Gold Rush territory, loud was dangerous, bought better equipment. He hired 2 other prospectors he trusted, men just as hungry and just as stubborn as he was. He didn't tell them where the bend was, not yet. He just said, "I found something. Come with me if you're willing to work." And they came. Together, over the next 3 months, they pulled enough gold from that mountain to change all 3 of their lives. Not just a little, completely, forever.
Now, some people hear a story like this and they think luck. They think right place, right time. And sure, there's always some element of timing in life. But here's what I want to ask you. Do you think the man who quit in week 1 was unlucky? Or was he just unwilling to become the person who deserved to find the gold? The philosopher Seneca, a man who had seen both great wealth and great suffering, once said something that has echoed through centuries. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Sam prepared. Every single cold, hungry, shovel-breaking day was preparation. The opportunity was always there in that river bend, waiting. It just needed someone prepared enough to recognize it. Fast forward 5 years, Sam has built a supply company that serves hundreds of prospectors across California. He's not the richest man in the gold rush, but he is one of the most respected. He employs 40 people. He has sent money back to his hometown to build a school. He wears boots without holes in them now, a detail he appreciates every single morning when he puts them on. And here is the part of the story that I think matters most. One evening, a reporter comes to interview him. The reporter asked, "What was the secret? What did you know that everyone else didn't?" Sam is quiet for a moment. Then he says, "I didn't know anything more than anyone else. I just refused to let not knowing stop me from going." He pauses and adds, "And I stayed when it rained." That line, that beautiful, simple gut punch of a line, "I stayed when it rained." Think about how much of life is summarized in those 5 words. The relationships that survived because someone stayed. The businesses that thrived because the founder didn't fold when things got hard. The athletes who became legends because they kept training when no one was watching. The artists who created masterpieces because they kept creating even when the world wasn't paying attention yet. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years. And when he walked out, he didn't walk out bitter. He walked out ready. He walked out having used every single one of those days to prepare for the work that was still ahead of him. He once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Was the dream of a free, united South Africa impossible? For a long time it looked that way, but it got done because someone stayed. You might be sitting there right now thinking, "This is a nice story, but my situation is different. My problems are real." And I hear you, I genuinely do. Because here's the thing, nobody's problems aren't real. Sam's empty pockets were real. His broken shovel was real. That rain was very, very real. But so was the gold. And here's what I believe, what I absolutely know to be true. Your gold is real too. It might be buried deeper than you thought. It might be around a bend you haven't reached yet. It might be waiting for you on the other side of the worst storm of your life, but it is there. The question is, are you going to stay when it rains? Because the world is full of people who had exactly what it took, who were standing practically on top of their own gold, and they left, not because they failed, but because they stopped. Because the difference between the person who makes it and the person who almost made it is almost never talent, almost never luck. It is almost always endurance. It is almost always the willingness to look ridiculous a little longer than everyone else. Sam became famous, not because he was the greatest prospector, not because he was the smartest or the strongest or the most gifted. He became known because his story traveled, because people heard about the man who stayed through the floods and found his fortune, and something in that story lit a fire in them. His name showed up in newspapers, then in books, then years later in the kind of conversations that happen around campfires and kitchen tables when someone needs to be reminded that their dream is still worth chasing. And every single time someone told his story, Sam would smile and say the same thing. "Thank God I didn't know how hard it was going to be before I started. I might have stayed home." That is wisdom, my friend. That is the beautiful, terrifying, wonderful secret of every great journey. You don't get to see the whole path before you walk it. You just get to take the next step. So, here is what I want to leave you with today. Whatever your goal is, whatever dream you've been carrying around like a heavy, embarrassing secret, it deserves a real shot. Not a cautious, 1 foot in, I'll try it for a week shot. A real muddy boots, stay through the rain, laugh when the shovel breaks kind of shot. Because somewhere in those hills, in your hills, something is waiting that has your name on it, something the world genuinely needs you to find. The only question left is, are you picking up the shovel?